Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and this is the Real 50 Over 50. And we are back this week with another interview with another incredible woman. And this is Carol Walkner. She's really interesting. She is a clairvoyant medium, a speaker, an author, a coach, and an energy healer. So I am going to just hand this over to Carol and let her fill in the blanks on her bio, and then we're going to have a conversation.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm way over 50, but who's counting, right? Um, so I call myself a refugee from corporate America. I was there for 35 years doing my magical sales and marketing gig. And when I retired, I've always been psychic. I've always been had these gifts and talents and skills and used them in the corporate atmosphere as much as I could. And when I retired, it was time to do this full time. So I was certified as a Reiki master, and then the universe pushed me back to Cincinnati, Ohio, where I studied with a clairvoyant medium, seventh generation medium, and it's been certified as a medium now. And that was 3.5, 4 years ago. So it's been quite a journey from one place right to many other places.
Okay, so we are going to jump right in with, because it's the Real 50 Over 50, what happened when you turned 50?
So I've lived my life, or done my best to live my life with no regrets. And when I was in my my 50s, it's like life isn't working. So I got a second divorce, moved back to New Jersey, and I was just on a tear, I guess. And I remember this friend of mine had a cake when I turned 50, and there were actually 50 candles on it. And I thought we were going to burn my apartment down, and she's carrying it out. And I was just having a blast
That's
and
great.
not looking 50, and not, of course, not acting 50. That's the secret. I never act my age.
I love that. Never act. Um, I'm writing that down. um, okay, so now one of the things that we talked a little bit about before we started going live is we talked about the life you built versus the life you created. And that really lit me up. So the life you built was that life with the corporate trappings and apparently the marriage or two marriages you didn't want to be in. And then what you created after that. Can you share a little bit of what that was like and the differences and maybe some of the things that you brought forward from the life you built into the life that you created?
Sure. Thank you. That's a great question. So the reason I was building a life was I had a son. I was divorced a couple times, and he was in college and graduate school, and I was in a long-term relationship. He got out of graduate school, went on with his life, and I left the corporate atmosphere, left the long-term relationship. I was back in New Jersey at that time, so I'm a kind of a gypsy in the moving around a lot. And I was in the process of doing workshops, visioning with people, and I was writing a book. And I thought, well, the best way to know whether this book is going to work for people is to drag myself through the book. And so I put everything in storage, left my life as it was, and took a girlfriend with me and drove from New York to California. And I was in my late 60s by then, and working my way through, what do I want now? Who am I at this age? What's important? What do I value? How do I want to feel? I didn't ask myself all these questions earlier. And
It
the
wasn't, it
answers
wasn't
were,
even optional, right?
I know, right? You just keep running through life. And so this time I finally stopped running, I guess, and had time to, what's going on? And so, um, so it took a year, And I finished the book and found myself finally, through many other iterations, back here at Cincinnati, where I am now, and I'm happier than ever.
That's amazing. So what was one or two of the big things that, or maybe even the simple things that made a big impact that were such created this significant change in your life?
So, still the idea, I want to live life with no regrets, and I really want to have a large amount of friends. I want to be there for my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandchildren. And I want a full life. And what does that look like? Since probably my 20s, or even when I was a kid, I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And I felt I wasn't really making that big of an impact. And now, the last 8 or 9 years, huge impact. And it just gives me chills and gets me teary-eyed a little to think of all the lives I've helped help them transform. It's not me. We do this together. It's a
Yeah,
joint project.
it's a co-creation.
It's a co-creation. You, me, and the universe, and the
Hmm.
angels, and
And
whoever
whoever
else.
else needs to weigh in, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's and so this was part of it. I wanted to make a bigger impact, and now, living in Cincinnati, it's an affordable place. I get to go to New Jersey and stay with my darling friend Mary Beth and some other folks there. I get to go to California, where my son and daughter-in-law and grandchildren are, many times a year. And this is the life I created, and it's beautiful. And
Mm,
I want to help others create a beautiful life too.
that's so great. Can you share a story of maybe one of your clients or somebody that you helped, and what was the change that was created for them?
There's so many. Okay, let's see. So, a few smaller ones. So, I belong to a women's networking group called Elevate,
Hmm.
and I in the chapter here in Cincinnati. And when I met some women a few years ago, a couple of them, one in particular, had been in pain for 20 years, and she had hurt her leg in her 20s, and now she was in her 50s, 40s, and she was still in much pain. So after a couple Reiki sessions and energy healing sessions, she was out of pain, literally. And she's climbed mountains and ride bikes thousands of miles. And so that's kind of a pain idea. I just had a client the other day, and we finished an more emotional, energetic session. And she had a little rift with one of her sons, and we balanced up the energy between the two of them. And the next afternoon, he called her, and things were different. I just I get amazed at some of these things too. If someone has like a wonky or a miscommunication in a relationship, I see the energy between those two people as a garden hose that might be kinked. So I just straighten out the kinks, and the relationships heal or change. It's like, it sounds magical, but everything's energy. It's quantum physics.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, now you shared that you are a third generation psychic medium. I need to know more about that. Well, first, what is a psychic medium? And second, how does that get passed down
Right.
from generation to generation?
So my sister's more psychic than I am. And to me, a psychic tells the future. So I call myself clairvoyant because I see things.
Mhm,
I don't want people asking me what's going to happen to me, because I could say right this moment, XYZ will happen. But if they leave my office and turn right instead of left, everything just changed.
mhm.
So, and we have free will.
Yeah.
So my grandmother on my father's side and my grandfather on my mother's side were psychic, were probably didn't know it because that was, 100 years ago.
Mm.
So they probably didn't know it and didn't realize it. But just the way they were, you could tell that they knew things.
Yeah.
And my sister is way more psychic than me. She called me up one day and she goes, "How's your knee?" And I said that my knee's fine. 3 days later, I fell and hurt my knee. So, thank you.
So are you seeing any of this in your grandchildren?
That's so interesting. Children are they're so open to everything.
Yeah.
And my grandson that's 11, when he was 3, we were watching television one morning, and he saw a traffic accident. And he said, "Oh, Dada's not in that accident. So Dada's safe at work now." So, and I don't see it really anymore in him. My 8-year-old grandson, we were talking about quantum energy and how we could move fast enough to get to the next plane. And so we were jumping on the trampoline and trying to get somewhere else besides this planet Earth. So they talk about it and they see it in different ways.
That's great. I love that you were jumping on a trampoline with your grandson trying to catch quantum energy.
I know, right? And then his twin, my granddaughter. So then the 3 of us were jumping.
That's amazing. When my son was probably 4 when my mom passed away, and they didn't really spend a lot of time together because she was in Florida, we were in New York, and but they had this thing every Friday. She would send him a box of stuff from the dollar store, and she would send him old cartoon DVDs, like Superman cartoons from the 40s and 50s, and Tom and Jerry and things like that. And she would get the same DVDs, and they would watch them together and be on the phone. This was their little thing. And after she passed away, he had this whole relationship with her in the car. Like, he would get in the car and he'd be like, "Hey, grandma, how you doing?" And then my cat passed away not long after that. And I had, explained everything to my son, and, like you would explain it to a 4-year-old. And about an hour later, he just said to me, he goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Grandma and Julia found each other, and now Julia's grandma's cat, and they're both okay."
Oh,
But he's grown out of it too.
yeah, they
He's
do.
21 now, and
Yes,
he's very empathetic and very, um, he's got a very old soul.
yes,
Clearly
yes.
been here before. And, but, when he was that age, he had like this went on for months with my mother in the back seat of the car.
And it's interesting what he said. They're okay together, and
Yes.
that's what I see when someone passes away. I see them on another plane doing what they love. So if they
Mhm.
play golf or bridge or whatever they did here, there's where they are up in that other place doing what they love, healthy, happy, no more pain. It's delightful to see that.
So now I know that you work with people across a wide scope. So, it makes sense how you work with people individually. But how do you bring this into companies?
That's a good question. So I've done a little bit of visioning and vision boards and right brain kind of planning with companies and team building. It's challenging for me because I get messages, like I get bombarded with messages for people. So
Mhm.
it's more of a what's going to be best for them in the moment as a team rather than
Individually.
some kind of mediumship messages. So
Mhm.
the individual work is easier with the energy work and the and the clairvoyance.
But how do you even sell it to them? I mean, like that to me, I'm fascinated by what that conversation would be.
More individuals are my clients,
Yeah,
and definitely women. I think
yeah.
I've over 30 years, I've had maybe 3 men, and they disappear quickly.
They don't want to know.
Oh, you don't want to know. But it's interesting you said your cat, because I had a cat and she died a couple of years ago. And I was on the phone with a client a couple months after the cat passed, and the client was a cat lover, and she asked me a question. I said, "Oh, here comes my deceased cat. She has an answer for you." So, and it was the perfect answer for the question. And so what I found out over the last couple of years is the cat has 2 answers, and she comes in not all the time, just when someone needs that specific answer.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I know, right? It's like,
That's
what are you
so
doing here?
interesting. And do you actually see her?
I do in my mind. Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I have one of a different cat of mine that has since passed away. I feel her jump in my bed
I've heard
at
that
night.
before. Yep.
It's really wild, and I know it's not my current cat. It's a whole different thing.
Yes. Yes.
It's it's really interesting what's going on around us that we don't even see, right? But you
Yes.
do. You do. Now
Yes.
how it like is this distracting? Like if you're just, walking around? Do you just see things around people?
I close myself off when I'm in a big group. My head would explode
Mhm,
if I was tuning into everybody. So when I have a client, I purposely shut everything out and tune in my energy to that client's energy.
mhm,
And when I'm in a group, I just shut myself off from the group, and I can be smiling and pleasant and
mhm.
converse, and I'm not picking up messages for them
Okay.
until they ask me a question. And then I go, oh, well, here's the answer to that one.
Now that has to be an acquired skill.
The
Like, how
more
did you
I do
learn
it, the
how did you
stronger it.
learn yeah,
Yes.
like
When I studied the mediumship for 3.5 years, we had to meditate every day and write down what came to us. We had exercises to do throughout the course. And that was 3 years ago. So the more I do it, I work with clients every day except Sundays. So, and Friday afternoons, I play Mahjong Friday afternoon, no clients. um, so the more I work with it, the quicker the angels or their spirit guides or the messages or the answers come. And it's like I can tune in and viscerally feel that person's energy. They can be on Zoom, on the phone, they don't have to be in person. Thank you to COVID, something
mhm,
good came out of it. um, I have clients all over the world. So I literally, even on Zoom, tune into that client's energy, and I'll say, oh, you feel a little tired today, or oh, you're happy today. And they're going, yes, you're right. So it's like, so then I know I'm really in their energy field.
that's great. That's great. And, let's see, there's a couple of other things that, I picked up from going through all of your things and talking to you, and, like, right at the top of your website, it says, "What do you need right now?" So how does this fit into the work? Like, do people actually tell you what they need, or do you kind of know what they need? And if anybody is in the audience here and wants to share what they think they need right now, please put it in the comments and we'll have a conversation.
Sure. That's the biggest question. They want to know what's the most important thing for me to do or to know right now. And some people will come to me in pain, physical pain, so that's an obvious thing. But if my life is happy and I'm at work and things seem to be moving along, but could there something be better out there? So what do I most need to know right now that might or will help me on my journey?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now Beth has a question. She's asking, how it's interesting how, learning the process and how things come to you. Is this different for each medium?
I would say yes. So clairvoyant is seeing, the ability to see things, and clairaudient is you hear. So, and clairsentient is you feel things in your body. So some psychic people or mediums are a combination of that or one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other clairs too. There's when you smell, I can't remember what that's exactly called, but because some people will say, oh, they'll walk with a client and they'll smell something, and it'll be maybe the perfume of their deceased grandmother or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that. So I see things and I hear things, and I see, like we were talking about my cat, I visually see her walking back and forth in my head. And I hear things. They'll say, tell the client this, and I won't, and they get louder. Say this. It's usually the angels or possibly the client's spirit guides or mine. And I'm clairsentient. So if a client, for instance, might have an IBS issue or a stomach issue, when I tune into the client's energy, I get the stomach ache. I get the pain in my body where the client's pain is. And so I know exactly where it is. And as soon as we're finished with the session, my pain goes away. Or if I've resolved the client's pain. I had one client one time, she was almost doubled over, and I said, oh, it's this little part in your colon here. And I just went like that, and she goes, oh, the pain's gone. And I go, yeah, mine too. Good.
That's incredible. No wonder you're so happy. No wonder you are so happy.
You can't make this stuff up, right? It's like,
I have to say, I can't even remember who introduced me to Carol, but through this whole project, I have met some, there are a lot of people that I've known for a long time, and then there are like these gems that are coming into my world, like you, Carol, and I'm being introduced to wonderful people every single day. But we had a conversation, and I went into that conversation feeling like, oh God, I'm recreating my business again. When does this end? Or growling at myself. And I'm saying I'm 59. When is this going to be over? When do I settle down? And then I speak to this wonderful woman who is further along the path than I am. And she's doing the same thing with like this joy that is emanating from every pore of her being. And I was like, okay, so I'm doing it right. Now I feel better about this.
you're definitely doing it right. And I'm 19 years older than you are. Yikes. That's the other secret. Keep smiling. Nobody knows how old you are because the wrinkles don't show and you smile.
No, those wrinkles are a badge of honor.
Right.
Those wrinkles are a badge of honor. So here's the other thing that jumped out to me. Love is really all that matters.
Mm.
How does that fit into your world, your life, the way you do things?
So I have always lived my life, done business, even in the corporate world, from love, from that place of love. And it's a heart-centered, obviously, place. It's very important to me to put that loving energy out. And it's like fishing. So I put the energy out and see who responds, see who comes into my purview. And it makes a difference in my work. I know if I'm coming from my heart, because that's part of where the healing for others is coming from too. And when I've finished with a session, I go like this because it's me blowing love into everything around the client and into the client. And it really is all that matters. And
That's
that must have been a
beautiful.
love song.
That was my phone, my disco phone music. And it was my best friend, Scam Likely.
Because she loves you. See?
Loves me. You called out to her.
I did. I put the fishing line out and pulled her right in.
Okay, and now Tracy. Tracy is she's just chiming in with love is a great basis for life and business, and it is. It is. Tracy's you guys should actually connect with each other because Tracy's amazing. I think you'd like each other. And
Cool.
she's one of our real 50 over 50 women too. I can't wait until you all kind of really get to meet each other. Um, okay, so I'm going to go back to my little list of questions here. Does anybody else have a question for Carol? Maybe you have something you want to share or something you want to see if she can see. If you do, just put it in the comments and we'll bring it up. But I'll keep going until I see something. So here's another thing that jumped out at me was uh, hummingbirds are important to you. What do they represent to you?
So I'm so happy you asked this. I have 2 hummingbird feeders on my balcony here in my condo, and they came up maybe, well, I moved in here 3 years ago. So 2 years ago, I put out the feeders, and these little tiny birds would come and feed, and it's like I would sit there and watch them, and it's like I need to know more about them. So they're tiny. I'm tiny. They're the only bird that flies backwards. I can run backwards. I can't fly backwards, but they're resilient. They're persistent. There's just so many qualities about them that are representative of them. I looked up the spiritual meaning of hummingbirds and got this whole list, and it's because it's me. It's the things that I represent, and I'm still going to learn how to fly backwards, but not quite yet.
You've got plenty of time.
Yes, I do. I do. At least 40 years. So it's just, I was just intrigued with them. And last year I was sitting, they're here from spring to fall. And they feel like when it gets to be fall and colder, they leave and go south. Like they'll fly thousands of miles. It's like, and they're tiny. I think their wings go, 1,000 beats a minute, something, and their hearts are going. Drrr. Anyway, so I'm sitting on my balcony reading, and the 2 hummingbirds that came all year came into my balcony, looked me in the eye, and flew away.
Wow.
As if to say, thank you, bye. And it's like, I did wow too. It's like, talk about deer in the headlights. It's like, whoa.
Oh, now I need to look up what the spiritual meaning is because I did that a while ago, but I don't remember. I'm going to do that. We have a question for you
Oh, good.
from Mary Beth Gregg. How do you protect your energy?
I love Mary Beth. Hi, sweetie. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say whatever you want.
Uh-oh. I'm from
Go
Jersey.
for it.
Better watch out.
Hey, I'm from Brooklyn. Bring it on.
So this is a very good question. So there's a couple ways you can protect your energy. So there's a thing called the zip up, which you pretend you have a big zipper and you start at the bottom of your body and you just zip up to your top lip. You come around the back and do the same thing. So you're closing off, imaginally closing off all your energy centers. So I am not an empath, but if someone's an empath, this will protect them from being blasted by other people's energy just by walking down the street. And the other thing you can do is we have a thinking brain, an emotional heart brain, and an instinctual gut brain. And if you imagine a light going through these three brains and into the earth, and then coming back up and going up through your top of your head to out to the universe, this supports you, this balances you, and this gives you a solidity. So many times during our day, we tend to like cut ourselves off and start just thinking. So this makes sure that your heart is in your day, your instinct, your gut, your intuition, and your thinking process. So when you have all three of them, you're more apt to not get waylaid by someone else's inner energy.
That is massive.
It's massive. The other thing I do before an appointment or a session, I ask Archangel Michael to surround me. So I imagine him as 7 feet tall, huge wingspan, and I imagine him just coming in and wrapping me in his wings. And if need be, he stands in front of me. So I'm not going to get or be impacted by the energies coming at me.
Wow. Oh, that's really good. Thank you for asking that, Mary Beth. Now that kind of, we're just at about time, but I had one last question that I wanted to kind of wrap up with, and this kind of covered it. But if you have anything else that you want to share, can you leave us with an easy technique to take good care of your heart and your soul?
Well, imagining the three brains connected is the biggest one.
Yeah.
The other thing I do, and because many of my clients say, oh, I need more money, or my finances aren't really what they should be, and they get all nervous or tight. So I look at my calendar on Sunday night and for the next week, and there's nothing there. And instead of going, I go, yay, I can get to do this. I get to clean my office. I get to do this and this and this. Yay. And I open up and it fills right up.
It fills right up.
My calendar's packed, and there was nothing there Monday morning. And now I have so many clients, my head will explode.
No, because you zipper yourself up. So you have
right. But it's the attitude. It's be open to what the good that the universe has for you.
Yeah. That is timeless and excellent advice, and something we can all do. Get out of our own way, right?
Yes.
Step aside.
That's the other one. Yes. Okay. So stand here, take one step to the right. Now that you're out of your own way, everything's fine.
And then let the bullshit train just pass you by.
Exactly. It's not getting on me.
That is really good. So I'm going to put Carol's website on here. Go to her website, learn more, connect with her. She also has a page on the real50over50.com website. So visit her over there and stay connected. She's amazing. And I can only imagine that you're going to get more and more amazing. I don't see that flying backwards.
Right. Please connect. I'd love that.
Yes. Connect with Carol. Yeah, I mean, you sometimes you just meet people and like you feel like you know them for your whole life. Carol is one of those people. Oh, we've got a whole bunch of comments here. Let's see what they say before we say goodbye.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, Mary Beth is saying trust, and Carolyn is saying another real 50 over 50 woman, be open and available, And Beth, another of our real 50 over 50 women, is thanking you. And I thank
Thank
you too.
you.
That's a really good note to end on. So if you are listening on the replay, or if you have any additional questions, put them in here, tag us. We will both come back and respond. This is about relationships and communication and staying connected. So we're all in this together. And thank you for coming, and connect with Carol and come back every Wednesday at noon Eastern time, because we have interviews booked all the way into April. So that's
Yay.
over a year of interviews. And we're still,
Woohoo.
I still have more people to add to the website. So thank you for supporting this project, this idea of mine. And thank you to everybody that is contributing their stories and their brilliance. I appreciate it. And thank you, Carol, for spending time today.
Thank you, Donna, for this fabulous platform.
It's fun. I'm having a blast. So much more to come. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.